Welcome to HSDF the Podcast, a collection of policy discussions on government technology and homeland security brought to you by the Homeland Security and Defense Forum. In this first of a two-part series, hear how leading DHS technologists discuss their agency's modernization journey, acceleration of data analytics AI capabilities for mission outcomes, and remaining challenges around budget, acquisition, and personnel. Featuring Reshea Deloatch, Executive Director, Solutions Development Directorate, Office of the CIO, Department of Homeland Security. Carin Quiroga, Chief Data Officer, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Dr. Gerri Alston-Meggett, Deputy Chief Information Officer, U.S. Secret Service. Bill McElhaney, Chief Information Officer, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. Jay Meal, Vice President, AI and Data Analytics, SAIC. Luke McCormick, former CIO, Departments of Homeland Security and Justice. This discussion took place at the HSDF Technology Innovation and Government Symposium on February 22, 2024.
We've got a lot of horsepower up here on the stage, and appreciate the time and effort that not only that you're doing today, but that you do every single day. And I want to make sure I point that out. And I have to always start these panels, as you know, with a plea that if you have not considered public service, give it a try. It tastes great. You'll never regret it. We're going to talk later on this afternoon with the CIO and Chief Artificial Information Officer about some of the positions he's got out there, a lot of cyber positions. These folks need the help. They're fighting the good fight, and I know you all are partnering with them, many of you here.
Come on in, the water's fine.
There you go. Megan mentioned we're gonna crank through a whole bunch of questions and answers here. We're gonna stop about, 10 minutes out, maybe a little bit more, to get some audience participation, right? We definitely want to get some questions from you all. And then we have a nice little wrap-up question we're gonna ask. All right, Reshea, I'm gonna start with you. Congratulations, by the way, on your new appointment.
Thanks so much.
Well
Appreciate
done.
that.
You've been in that role for a couple of months, if I recall. You were the deputy for quite some time. Came in from an operating component. We always love to see that.
Yes.
Give us a state of the state. What are you seeing up there these days? But before you do that, 30 seconds on, what is SDD? What is in your portfolio? And then talk to us about sort of what's cooking up there.
Sure. So the Solutions Development Directorate within the Chief Information Officer headquarters of DHS. I have a large portfolio of applications. Some of it includes software as a service products. It also includes the DHS Enterprise Cloud, identity services. I can go on and on. Just all kinds of solutions that meet the stakeholders that are also our components, the needs across DHS. So it's a wide array of solutions. The state of the state, I would say that these days, especially regarding cloud, it's less about trying to make sure that we're transitioning off of on-prem data centers into the cloud. A lot of that work has been done, thank goodness. So more so these days, I'm looking to make sure that we're more efficient, effective, employing more automation techniques to make sure that we're doing things a lot quicker. Some things that took us months before, we're doing in hours. So a lot of those things these days, we're looking to automate versus migrate.
So using the technology rather than spending a lot of energy installing the technology, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Which is a point I wanted to catch with Carin. You are the CDO. You've been over there a while. And I would imagine that, I certainly would hope that you're not spending a lot of time wrestling with installing technology, trying to acquire technology. You're actually trying to use some of this technology. Can you tell us about some of these capabilities that you're using and then how that's enabling your operations?
Sure. And surprisingly enough, I actually am. I come from software delivery, so it's kind of in my blood. So we actually are standing up a data analytics platform out of the CDO shop. because we had one for our investigation side and the immigration side, but we were lacking one for the mission and management side. And so we really saw value there, so we're trying to stand that up. But a lot of my focus is working with those solutions and the people that are building those systems and making sure the data quality is there and they're using data standards, because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that, even with AI coming, we've got to make sure the data is clean and accessible and reliable. And so a lot of our focus has been, focusing on the data that's in each one of those systems.
So you hit the bingo card, AI.
Yeah, sorry.
Are you using AI? Are you not using AI?
I think it's very early in the AI stage. I think across the spectrum. I mean, there are samples of where we are using it.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to dhs.gov/AI, and you'll see that HSI implemented an AI and machine learning to improve pictures and do some facial recognition. We're actually in 1 month be able to find over 300 new victims of child exploitation. And so you'll see that we are trying and exploring it, but there's a lot of work that we're also doing to make sure our policies and our processes are stood up and ready for that, and also making sure we have the skill sets and the resources. We want to make sure that whatever we do with AI is going to be responsible and ethical.
Fantastic. Gerri, welcome, and we really do appreciate you being here. Gerri being the Deputy CIO at the Secret Service. We know you spent a lot of time wrestling with the 18 acres and all the national partners there, very tricky environment. But we also know that you all, at the same time, have been on this modernization journey. Give us an update. We're all anxious to hear what's the Secret Service doing these days as far as modernization.
Well, first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me. I bring you greetings from Kimberly Cheadle, the 27th Director of the United States Secret Service, and only the second woman, and our Chief Information Officer, retired Marine Corps General Kevin Nally. So we have been on a tech modernization journey for a number of years, and we are General Nally is implementing a cloud smart strategy. Mm-hmm. And we're currently in the cloud adoption phase. And Director Cheadle has really given us our marching orders to modernize our IT infrastructure. So you mentioned AI, and just like Carin mentioned, we are also exploring responsible, safe, secure, and trustworthy development and use of artificial intelligence. We are excited about how it will help us in our dual mission for protection and investigation. And we've identified a number of areas where we think we can leverage AI. And the first one out of the gate is deterrence of financial fraud and detection of counterfeit characterization. Mm-hmm. So we're excited. We are also trying to make sure we have our boots firmly on the ground, 10 toes down, that we have the policies in place, the expertise, and the resources, because we see this as an opportunity to, one, protect our financial infrastructure and our nation's leaders, and two, just advance the federal government and our technology posture.
That's fantastic. Early adoption of AI on the counterfeit side, and the area that oftentimes gets forgotten about what the Secret Service is all about, right? It's not just, I shouldn't say just, but protecting the dignitaries, the president, et cetera. So that's awesome. I'm glad to hear that. Bill, we've all heard about USCIS and modernizing in a modern way. You all have been doing that for quite some time over there. I don't think it escaped anybody in this room all the activity that's going on in regards to various policies that have changed, various policies that may change. We were a couple signatures away from some significant policies. Give us a peek inside the building when these things are going on. Are you all in a situation now where you just say, hey, bring it on, we're just going to turn a couple of knobs and pull a couple of levers, and voila, we're done? Or are you pulling out these systems and putting them on the operating table and saying, open heart surgery, here we go, incoming? Just what happens when you're in a more, let's say, a fairly modern environment there and are able to perhaps move swiftly or not? Maybe I'm giving you guys too much credit there. So.
Yeah. Well, at this morning's staff stand-up meeting, we were comparing notes as to who slept the most hours in Camp Springs. So, which is where our building is.
Okay.
But no.
Sounds like more like the operating table than the turning the knob.
Of course, no surprise to anyone here who's familiar with USCIS. We are very much lean forward. We started investing in the hyperscalers and the cloud environments, agile approach, and so forth some time ago, and really that's paying dividends for us now. But first, I'll say there's no silver bullet. We haven't discovered any of those. It's a lot of hard work, and really the first part of the answer is all about the people. We are very fortunate at this agency to just have really dedicated IT personnel on the federal side. Of course, highly talented folks from your staff here in industry. And together, we have kind of created some patterns that we are leveraging and reusing time and again. Some of those patterns that we've had great success with, of course, is agile and embracing the MVP, not trying to boil the ocean on every major initiative. But really, our key legacy solutions, we've built very modular, and we're able to kind of plug those in and reuse those and turn around rapidly for a lot of these policies that are emerging quickly. Some of the other things that we do, we really leverage the toggling pattern in our services and solutions, and so that allows us to turn things on and turn things off very rapidly as you see the thrash in the policy making and so forth. But I'd say that we planted the tree a long time ago, and it's really starting to bear fruit. And that's my sage advice to any of these large enterprises is embrace this. The marketplace has followed well. It used to be just about the cloud. Now it's about hyperscaling and integration with the products that work within the cloud, and specifically in the federal environment, those who have embraced the federal environment. All of those have come together, and we are really kind of like you were talking about at the department, we're not discovering so much as we're leveraging.
Fantastic, and I'm glad to hear that. Sounds like the hard work has paid off. Jay, industry expert in the AI space, give us a perspective of what you're seeing from the industry's perspective, particularly as you sort of look across the interagency, striped across these various capabilities. What are you seeing out there?
Well, again, thanks for having me. I love coming to these, and I'll start by saying that I have the privilege of working across the federal government space, so DoD, the intelligence community, and very closely with the Department of Homeland Security. And I will say that for Department of Homeland Security writ large and for all the organizations within, it's really nice to see how forward-leaning everybody is in the Department of Homeland Security when it comes to data and AI. And really starting to operationalize it. So what I see right now is there's still a lot of hype, both on the industry side, whether it's integrators or vendors, and also on the federal government side, the consumers of the capabilities. We still have a lot of educating to do in terms of what AI can do and what AI can't do, right? Or what it is. So that's a big piece of it. I also think that, and I've heard a few points up here today, we need to be focusing on understanding how it works, explaining how it works, or explainability, trust around that, understanding biases within it, if we're going to operationalize it. If you've heard me speak before, I say a lot about anybody can do sandbox data science or sandbox AI, but if you really want to operationalize the technologies that you're building and integrating, you have to have adoption from the human users. And the only way you get to adoption is if you have trust. And the only way you have trust is if you have understanding. And the only way to have understanding is make it explainable and not have a black box. So, I would say to my colleagues in industry out there and the vendors that we work with, make sure that you're focusing on open systems architectures. Make sure you're focusing on explainability. Make sure you understand really from ingest to inference how the data is transforming, how it's being fed into the models, to the extent that you can, how the models are making decisions, and how those decisions are being utilized. Because I think that's going to go a long way towards operationalizing the technology.
Really do appreciate that top line. Instead of a 10-minute, can I get a 15-minute just so I calibrate right on the back here? Got it. All right, good. All right, turbo round here. We're going to do a couple of these. Well, several of them, actually. Carin, I'm going to start with you. Top 2 priorities. You got a lot of stuff you're doing in 24. A lot of folks out here that want to help you, want to get in your head. What are your top 2 priorities for 24?
For OCIO as a whole, I'll say the mission's always at our forefront, so accelerated service delivery. How can we get services and our products to them faster so they can do their mission and be more efficient and effective? And for me personally, I've been a lot of focus on data literacy and making sure that that understanding is across our organization. So we stood up a data empowerment program and making sure the data is available and accessible to everybody. And so those are the focus areas of my office.
Give me a second one for CDO. We don't care about the CIO.
I have.
CDO,
so the second one for CDO would be, I call it the data bodega. So what it is, it's really a data catalog or a data marketplace so that it's a centralized place that people can go to get data. Our data today is very siloed. And so like it's making it available, it's putting it in the bodega. So it's a centralized location. People can go see the dictionaries, know who owns it, what kind of data, see the tags, and see the APIs so they can be able to use it.
Bill, must do for 24, top 2.
I can answer that in so many different dimensions. From an agency and mission perspective, and given the obvious, all about the mission, it's pretty clear that 24 and for the foreseeable future, we're going to be focusing on that humanitarian mission space. And so it's all about integrating and creating more efficient processes for all of those humanitarian things that we're doing in the asylum space and so forth. The other one that's forefront, back to my morning meeting that, we're checking in regularly, is the H-1B registration season starts here very shortly. And it's all hands on deck. We're introducing some really cool lean forward online accounts for organizations, as well as some other really cool things for this year's registration. And then the third piece I'll throw in is a third one there is the new fee rule implementation. We have a lot of form changes and so forth that from an IT standpoint that we've got to integrate that into.
Do we have a new fee rule?
We do.
Fantastic. I'm sure you're happy about that.
It's a long time coming, and congratulations to a lot of hard work across town.
Off the ramen noodle diet there, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I'll defer to the CFO in that regard.
Well, we got Kika in the back. She's coming.
Oh, is that right? That's good.
I wanted to ask you on the asylum, but what does that mean from a systems standpoint, right? You're going to enable a lot of capability there, depending on which way these policies go.
Yeah. It's helping. It's making that process as streamlined and efficient. From a case management standpoint, from the IT perspective.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
As possible. So we're talking about the global system there and making those processes extremely efficient and productive. But as well, our Ellis platform, the global and Ellis platforms are converging and becoming more and more integrated. So reusing a lot of that capability that we built on that Ellis platform to augment that global platform. So that's really providing a lot of support, whether we're talking about activities on Southwest border or we're talking about processing 765s in the various cities across the country.
Got it. Reshea, top 2 priorities for SDD. SDD for Reshea.
Yeah, solutions.
What's in your job jar for 24?
I would say, so with solutions, there are many across DHS. So with that comes some inefficiencies. So solution refinement is a big deal for me. Coming in, I'm able to take a look and see, okay, well,
when you say solution, what do you mean by that?
I mean, for example, Bill just mentioned case management. You might have 5 million case management systems. I'm being dramatic, but I'm being dramatic on purpose because there's some efficiencies to be gained to say, okay, well, maybe we really only need 3 across the department. But there are some things like that to look at. And I'm not just talking about case management. It could be financial systems. It could be other systems, especially ones that are utilized by employees or different agencies. So that would be a priority for me to make sure that we are operating more efficiently and making sure that we are refining solutions and not necessarily paying additional costs that we don't need to because we already solved that problem elsewhere. I want to take advantage of that. I'd also say solution usability. we have a tendency to build and build and build, and somehow we get away from the original requirements or even the end users to make sure that is this solution meeting that requirement. There are so many more modern techniques that are being used out in industry right now that we need to actually employ in the government as well to make sure that our solutions are meeting our end users' requirements. So I'd say those two.
Fantastic. Gerri, top 2 priorities for the Deputy CIO.
That's an easy one. For me, it's recruiting and resiliency planning.
You heard it, recruiting.
Why. The Secret Service, especially my office, the Office of the Chief Information Officer, we have an aging workforce. We have folks who EOD'd or entered on duty back in the late 80s, early 90s. So recruiting is important because we're seeing a retirement bubble. And resiliency planning, for those who are staying with us, we have to upscale them for the new challenges that are coming and the new technologies that are emerging. And given our state of state for the next 4 years, the Secret Service is the lead for a myriad of national special security events. So here in 2024, we have our usual suspects. We have the State of the Union address, the United Nations General Assembly, NEG Summit, NATO. But then in addition, we have the presidential campaigns, the Republican National Convention, the Democratic National Convention, and then the ensuing inauguration. In 26, we have all those same usual suspects plus FIFA World Cup. In 28, we have all those same usual suspects plus the Olympics in 28, and then another election cycle. And not to mention the unplanned NSSEs, like a state funeral or APEC, the African Leaders Summit that we recently had. Those things were not planned because we didn't know about them. So suffice it to say, recruitment and resiliency planning are my top 2 priorities.
Thank you for tuning in. You can follow HSDF the podcast on any major podcast platform. Visit hsdf.org to learn more about the Homeland Security and Defense Forum.